I am a practical learner. I like getting down and learning how to do things practically. I once had this amazing boss, amazing guy, and he taught me much of what I know professionally. And so what he would do is he'd assign me a task and ask me if I knew how to do it. If I didn't, he would teach me the basics and say, "Give it a shot. If you get stuck, come and we'll work on it." I would go, and me being me, I would end up coming back to him with the task completed because I had researched the hell out of it. And I grew so much professionally because of this. Hello, fellow wanderers, and welcome back to another episode of The Wandering Wanderer. If it's your first time joining us, welcome. And thank you for spending time with us as we explore alcoholism and sobriety. If you're coming back to hang out with me, thank you for your continuous support and time. I am your host, Wendy, and today, for those who are practical learners like me, I want to share a few tips and tricks that I use on my sobriety journey on a day to day basis. I hope these tricks will hopefully help you stay on track, find and build a life, find support, build a life that is fulfilling and free from alcohol. Whether you're just starting out on this journey or you have been on this journey for a while, maintaining sobriety is no small feat. It's a path filled with challenges and triumphs and everything in between. Now, remember, if you find this video helpful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, let's get started. The first, and I think for me, I've said this before, the biggest step is the elephant in the room, which is sobriety is hard. It's hard to admit that, whether it's battling cravings or dealing with societal pressure or facing your own emotions without the numbing effect of alcohol. This journey can feel overwhelming at times, and that's perfectly normal. My friends noticed my alcoholism before I did. And it took me a very long time to acknowledge that maybe, just maybe, I might be an alcoholic. And indeed, that is the biggest step, at least for me. Denial is a huge problem for us, for a lot of us at least, because addiction is considered such a dirty word. So no one wants to be labeled an addict because that label comes with other things. But acknowledging that I had a problem was the first step towards my healing because once you acknowledge it, then you give yourself permission to consider the solutions, which in the long run are a good thing for you. And so, step number one, the first thing you need to do, and the first tip and trick I think you need to begin with is acknowledge that you might have a problem. When I first started out, I remember feeling like I was more broken than I thought I was. Me, an addict, on top of everything else? How much more of a failure could I be? I asked myself. It felt like I'd failed in life. But I was looking at it through the skewed perception based on what mostly other people would think of me. And once I realized that this battle was not for them, this battle was for me. It was a chance for me to be healed and hopefully begin a newer journey. When I first accepted that, it was hard. It took me a while to accept that and be okay with it. But accepting that I just might have a problem and accepting the situation for what it was and not what I thought it should be allowed me to begin considering options like reducing my drinking and eventually quitting alcohol altogether. Acknowledging this challenge or that one might be addicted is the first step towards overcoming this challenge. It's about recognizing that, yes, this is tough, but you are tougher and you're worth fighting for. And maybe on top of all of that, and maybe pretty important to realize, is you're not alone in this. You're not the first nor the last who's going to be doing this. I think so often we sit and look at ourselves and we think, I don't want to tell anybody this because I'm the only one going through it. The reality is, you aren't. There are a lot of other people on this journey with you, like yours truly. And so, accepting might come later, but just acknowledging that there is a possibility you might have a problem is the first step, and that goes a long way. The second thing is building a support system for yourself. One of the most important aspects of maintaining sobriety is building a strong support system. When I first quit, other than my therapist and one friend, I was so sure I would fall flat on my face and didn't want to be embarrassed. I told nobody at all. I now know that if I had leaned on the people around me and sought support, the first 6 months would not have been as hard as they ended up being for me. And so, tip number 2, lean on the people that are around you. It wasn't until I opened up to those that I trusted and leaned on their love, support, and accepted for them to hold me accountable that I began to feel lighter and know that no matter what happened, there would always be people who were there for me. This really helped strengthen my resolve to stay sober. Depending on who you are, a support system can include family, friends, or even a community of people who are on the same journey as you. Having somebody to lean on when things get tough, and I assure you, things get tough, or just somebody to share your experiences with can make a world of difference. In some cases, when you're in a bad place, it can be what keeps you from falling off the cliff and back into the drinking that you're trying so hard to get out of. For other people, they may not have the privilege of family and supportive friends. They might not, and that's okay. Their support system might be joining groups like Alcoholics Anonymous or other programs that resonate with them. For others, it could be about finding online communities where you connect with others who understand what you're going through. Remember, with all of these tips and tricks that I'm sharing with you, you need to find what works for you. What works for me might not work for you. Try and try until you get to what works for you and then go through with that. The sobriety journey is an individual's journey. It's your journey, it's your process. Find out what best works for you and use that. That is what will set you up for success. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. Sobriety is not something you're meant to navigate alone. Some of us have tried navigating it alone, and you realize it's so much harder when you do it by yourself than when you lean on other people around you. Tip number 3, you need to establish new routines. When you remove alcohol from your life, it can feel like there's a huge void because there is. You spend time, you spend money, you have social connections that are built around your drinking. And so establishing new routines can really help with this. The key is to fill that space with activities that bring you joy, fulfillment, and a sense of accomplishment. For me, that meant vamping up my exercise routine, which challenged me physically and mentally. There are days that I worked out so hard that I was in physical pain. Now, not only does exercise help boost your mood, but it gives you something positive to focus on. And when you see your results over time, it helps boost your confidence even further. Let me tell you a story. My very first sober Christmas, and I remember this was December 2019. Now, Christmas for me is a hard time because it's a time that reminds me of the passing of my mother, and it comes with a lot of emotion. But also, just generally, Christmas is the time everybody gets gets drunk, and makes merry, and all of that. And so I decided to be very intentional about being away from any environment with alcohol because I was just about 3 months sober at that time. And so what I did is I ended up going for a yoga retreat in some small corner of Morocco in North Africa. I have to say it was a good decision at the time because I was surrounded by a small group of people who, for different reasons, wanted to be in a similar environment. And it made it very easy for me to stay sober, especially when it was a time when I was having nightmares, I was having the shakes. And so I could easily have fallen back into bad habits. And so making that decision was an intentional one. This particular Christmas, I didn't spend it with family or friends, and I missed them. But I knew that I needed to do that first one for me to establish that new routine for myself and to create a space where I could feel okay being sober, at least for that first Christmas. Another trick that I use every once in a while, but when I started, I used to use it a lot, is that on occasion, I get non alcoholic beer, wine, or champagne. Yes, I know some of you might not know this, but there are wines that are made that don't have any alcohol in them. There are non-alcoholic champagnes and there is non-alcoholic beer. And I will put it in a glass that I would drink my usual beer, wine, champagne in, and I will sit and I would enjoy it as if I was having an alcoholic beverage. In the very beginning, it helped me deal with my cravings from time to time. Right now, much less. I don't feel the need to do it, but it really helped me in the beginning because it kind of tricked my body and my brain to think that I was drinking alcohol when I wasn't. Another thing that I did when I was establishing new routines is I rediscovered my love for reading and committed to reading at least a chapter of a book a day. I was also more intentional about reading my Bible and having daily devotionals that I followed to help me grow spiritually. I found out, and I still discover this every day, that having a structured daily routine and sticking to it, whether it's a morning ritual or scheduling your activities, really helps maintain that sense of purpose and direction. With time, I have gotten stronger and I have taken on more challenges with faith and confidence. One of the things I chose to do 3 years into sobriety was go back to school. One of the best decisions I ever made. I graduated in December 2023 with my undergrad degree at a time when I don't know if I would have been able to do that if I was still drinking. Remember, I say this again, find out what's best for you. Try different things and see what sticks and what makes the best sense for you, not for anybody else. You are on this journey by yourself. You have support, you have the community, but you are the one who has to go through this journey for you. Tip and trick number 4, get to know your trigger. We talked about triggers in season 1, and we said triggers are the things that make you want to reach for a drink so bad you can feel it at the back of your throat. These triggers can be people, they can be places, and they can be emotions. It is super important to identify your triggers so you can establish strategies to manage them. I shared some of my triggers last season when I said anxiety and uncertainness sends my mind spinning, boy. And when that temptation comes knocking at that point, I am in a weaker state of mind and I could easily be tripped up. For some other people, it's a social situation that might be your trigger. It might be, company events or a social event where your friend has invited you and everybody's drinking and you don't know what to do. In that case, try and plan ahead. Maybe that means bringing your own non alcoholic drink or having a reason to leave early if things get uncomfortable. For yet other people, the trigger might be a person. We know a few of these people who seeing them or hearing from them just sends you reeling, especially where emotions like anger, betrayal, rejection, and others are involved. You need to make the difficult decision to limit that person's access to your life or cut them off completely if it's possible. Remember, it's about finding out what works best for you. You have to take care of yourself first. I know that in some cases, this person might be a family member and you can't really avoid them. But if this person is intentionally or unintentionally undermining your journey, you might have to make some tough choices. For some other people like me, emotions like grief, sadness, rejection, betrayal, love might be the trigger. And so being intentional in identifying the patterns that come with these emotions. These feelings might be a tightness in your chest, a clenching, that clenching feeling, like you have a knot at the bottom of your stomach, or that heat that rises in your body and you feel you've got like smoke coming out of your ears, like those cartoons that have smoke coming out of your ears. Recognizing these patterns will enable you to catch yourself as they happen and figure out what helps you to best overcome them. I'll tell you, when I'm feeling one of these emotions, because emotions are my trigger, some emotions are my trigger, I get up and go for a long walk. I put on my headphones. I either listen to gospel music or I listen to music just makes me, just makes me want to like bop my head. And I enjoy the environment around me as I walk. And I walk pretty long distances because it helps to calm me and tire me out at the same time. And sometimes, as I'm walking and listening to gospel music, I talk to God and let out all my frustration and, curse folks out if that's what I need to do at that time as I'm listening to music, and it helps me. Sometimes on those headphones I'll be listening to a guided walking meditation. It depends on what I need for that particular day. And through experimentation, going back and forth, I have figured out when it's intensive and when I need something extra, or when I just need a walk and music in my ears. So figuring out what works for you is probably one of the best things you can do. And again, you're not going to figure it out on day one. I promise you, in year 10, I'm sure I'm still going to be figuring out some things on this journey. I personally have found it helpful to do mindfulness techniques. That's why, as I said, I have meditation in my phone, which I can put on headphones at any time of the day and just listen and breathe and just kind of stop and enjoy this particular moment, no matter what I'm feeling. I love to write. And so keeping a journal has really, really helped me. And talking to my therapist has helped me keep track of my triggers. And over time, I've learned to either avoid certain situations or face them with a new mindset. I know it sounds like a lot, but I promise you, you can do it. And you are worthy of being able to do it and become a better version of yourself. Tip number 5, and probably the most important one. I know I've said all of them are important, but this is undoubtedly one of the most important ones. Practicing self compassion. Learning to give yourself grace in this process will save you harsh self critiquing of yourself. Trust me, as somebody who self critiques on another level, and I know there's a whole lot of us who overthink and constantly criticize ourselves, self compassion is an important tool for you. Sobriety is a journey. And like any journey, it has its ups and downs. There will be days when you feel like you're on top of the world, and there will be days like you feel like you're barely holding on, like the weight of the world is sitting on your shoulders. I have many of these days, all interspersed and mixed between. And then I look at how far I have come, and I am amazed and grateful. This journey is truly one day at a time. And I said this last season, some days it's an hour at a time. Be kind to yourself, love yourself. If you slip up, you're human, right? Don't beat yourself up over it. Focus on what you can learn from that experience and how you can move forward. Celebrate every win, no matter how small it might seem. Every day you choose sobriety for you is a victory. Remember, this is about progress and not perfection, because I don't think there is a perfect record for sobriety. You just have to take it a day at a time. So to recap what we've said today: number 1, acknowledge your challenges. 2, build a support system. 3, establish new routines. 4, identify and manage your triggers. And most importantly, number 5, practice self compassion. Sobriety is not a straight line, it is a process, and you have to trust the process. It's a journey, and just being here, listening to me, even considering taking this journey and taking it a day at a time is a huge win. I really hope that these tips are going to help you on your path. If you have any tips of your own, or if you'd like to share your experience, please drop a comment below. Let's support each other. Thank you so much for watching and giving me your time. And remember, you're stronger than you think. Keep going. Before you go, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and share this video with anyone who might need it. Here we wonder and wonder together. So stick with me through this season as we continue to learn about sobriety and addiction. I will see you next week. Until then, stay strong, stay blessed, and remember, one step at a time, we will get there together. See ya.